Gold Squad TV. It's late, man, but I wanted to kind of make this point. I kind of mentioned it a little bit at the end of the last video. I read an article where Brad Stevens wasn't too happy with Danny Ainge letting go his boy Daniel Thies. If you remember a few days ago when the trade was made, I said that this was a warning shot to Brad Stevens. Now, other than the reasons I made known on why that was a warning shot, you got to go back to 2019 when we had that struggling season. And I mentioned it earlier, so I'm going to mention it again. Schematically, Brad doesn't like switching or alleviating his system to make things easier for the players that are on his roster. Now, Al Horford, for instance, is a great player, a multiple-time All-Star. Won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he'll definitely be a Hall of Famer when his career is over. Made a lot of strong contributions. The problem was that Al was on an expiring contract. Obviously, he had that one year. It was the option year, the player option year. So he had played 3 seasons with us. So this is the year that he was going to be like, am I going to opt out or am I going to stay? Brad really tried to cater to Al Horford. He wanted to really cater to Al Horford offensively. So he would have him either run pick and pop or pick and roll with Kyrie, which will often leave Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward at the time, Marcus Morris at the time, and Terry Rozier miffed because it's not bad to do pick and roll and pick and pop. However, Horford needed the ball at least 10 to 15 times. He needed touches. He had incentives to reach on his contract. Therefore, he was going to take shots away from Tatum and Brown, take shots away from Kyrie, shots away from Rozier. Now, I'm not saying this to say that Al Horford is selfish, but Brad Stevens kept running an offense to Al Horford. He kept trying to make plays for Al Horford to be an offensive option, whether it be the pick and pop or the pick and roll. The problem is pick and pop and pick and roll is really a 2-man game. It usually leads to a lot of standing around. The reason why this is relevant to Daniel Theis, that Daniel Theis was Al Horford's understudy. And although he's nowhere near as good as Al Horford, their games are very similar. Pick and pop, pick and roll. Daniel Theis was an undersized center who really should have been a 4. Was not a very accurate 3-point shooter. He had his days where he could hit some, and he had his days where he wasn't. And when you had him in the lineup with Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart, it was too much 3-point shooting, not enough offensive game planning. A lot of plays were called for Daniel Theis. No ball movement. A lot of times, Daniel Theis is the one either shooting the 3 on the pick and pop or rolling and shooting that mid-range. And he just kept having plays ran for him. You know, Daniel Theis was on a contract year this year. He wasn't for our long-term plans. So Time Lord was constantly outplaying him. And the thing about Time Lord, the reason why I mention is Time Lord is what you need on a team like this. Time Lord, you don't have to run plays for him. He's there to catch lobs. He's here to catch rebounds. There to get assists. He's there to hustle. He's there to defend and become a presence at that rim athletically. He'll give you 10 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks just on lobs, just on loose balls, just on dunks, and just being in the right place at the right time. Hustle plays. Today, the offense looked exactly the way I pictured it looking in the beginning of the season when we didn't really see. I seen Jason Tatum getting to the rim at will. I seen Jaylen Brown getting to the rim at will. I seen Kemba Walker getting to the rim at will. And if he wasn't doing that, if all those 3 guys weren't doing that, they were able to get shots off of space. So it wasn't like they were being double teamed. You couldn't just double team Jason, double team Jaylen. You couldn't just double team Kemba. Couldn't double team Marcus. They were going to make you pay. And once you got the Time Lord was going to be the guy to get do all the dirty work. All due respect to Thies is nowhere near the player that Time Lord is. So back to the Brad Stevens point. Brad Stevens was in love with Daniel Thies the way he was in love with Al Horford. Those guys were guys that could pick and pop and pick and roll and be able to shoot threes or shoot mid-rangers. And he felt in the center is good to be able to spread the floor so it doesn't clog up space. But it's actually not true. Tristan Thompson clogs up space because he doesn't really have offensive game. You don't need a run plays for him either. Thompson's problem is he can't defend the pick and roll. Otherwise, he could, his one-on-one defending in the post is great. He can't block a shot if it saves his life. But everything else is good. Offensive rebounding, hustle, defensive rebounding. Thompson has it. Time Lord has everything he has with athleticism. And it's just freakish athleticism. And it doesn't really make any type of sense to have Time Lord coming off the bench. Having Time Lord in that lineup makes us a better team. Now you can't lock in on Tatum. You can't just lock in on Brown. You can't lock in on Fournier. You can't lock in on Smart. You can't lock in on Walker. You can't lock in on Peyton Pritchard. It's just too many guys. It's just too many guys that could get their own buckets, one way or another. You can't clog lanes the way defenses were doing when Daniel Thies is playing for us. You'll see. But I guess the point of my video is that Brad Stevens has too much of a reliance on 3-point shooting centers. And it's time that he gets called to the feet on that. That said, you're going to have a nice little winning streak. You're going to make him look really good. You're going to start acting like Brad Stevens is some type of genius. Brad Stevens could have easily put Time Lord in the lineup early in the year. We wouldn't have this problem. Look, it all depends on how you're coaching. So many things that dude does wrong as a coach. When he actually does something right, it's still found 100 things wrong. Gold Squad TV, leave your comments down below. What do you think about Time Lord being in the lineup as opposed to Daniel Thies? Gold Squad TV.